Is this the perfect hub for your USB-C system? Well, it has some issues. Let's have a look. Dave Taylor here, and this time I want to look at a USB-C hub. This is the GN30H from a company called QacQoc. Don't ask me where the name comes from. They don't seem to be able to explain it either, but whatever. In any case, it's kind of a mixed experience. There's a lot to like about it. It gives you lots of functionality. It's 4K HDMI. It has pass-through charging, gigabit Ethernet. It supports MicroSD and SD card reading, and it gives you 3 USB 3.0 ports. But it's kind of a little bit tricky to get it to all work properly. And one of the things that I find really frustrating is that if you're using pass-through charging, which works fine, if you unplug that, everything disconnects, and then you have to wait and have it reconnect. So this is not something you want to do while you're in the middle of a file transfer, for example. But it works. So, for example, right now, plugged into my MacBook Pro via one USB-C port is I have my Qi charging. Let's put the phone on it. Okay, that beep tells me the phone's charging. And I have this Western Digital My Passport Air hard drive. And I have this funky little SanDisk USB flash drive that also has lightning connector on the other end of it. And it's plugged in for charging, and I have an SD card, and I have a MicroSD card. So I am really pushing this. I got every port in use with the exception of HDMI and Ethernet. So the question is, does it actually work? So let's give it a quick speed test. So let me just show you what's on my screen. Okay, so the SanDisk is the USB drive, the flash drive. The My Passport Air is the hard drive connected via USB 3. The Canon is actually the SD card, and the DJI Mavic is the MicroSD card. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe take something off of, oops, let's move this back onto screen. Let's take something off of the MicroSD card and put it onto the hard drive. So we'll open both of them up simultaneously. Let's get this moved around to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find a video. Let's see. Here's one that's 1.7 gigabytes. That sounds good. And we're just going to copy it. So basically, my computer is going to be used as a pass-through device. And so the question becomes, how long will it take to copy 1.7 gigabytes off a MicroSD card? And basically, it's going through the hub onto my computer, and then the data is going back onto the hub and then routing through the USB 3 port onto the Western Digital hard drive. And it was actually accomplished faster than my explanation. So that's pretty nice. And as you can see, everything works fine. I mean, you know, when you get everything connected and everything working, oops, let's get that back on screen too, then it all works perfectly well. It's nice and fast. So from a functionality perspective, it's pretty straightforward. Now, let me get back on camera. When it's working, the hub's really cool. But let me show you what happens on screen when I actually simply pull the power out of the hub. Let's watch and see what happens to all the devices that are mounted. Oh, they all go away. Isn't that pretty alarming? But give it a second or two and they will start to show up again. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this is pretty troubling behavior. So it might be that there's some sort of fundamental piece of hardware about how this works. And notice that it's gone again, and now they're coming back again. So, you know, this is one of these things where there's just this sort of weirdness whenever you're getting and transitioning situations. So once it's all plugged in and working, everything's fine. But you can see here, it's just having all sorts of problems trying to figure out what to do at this point. And I find that to be something that makes this a very limited value product. Now, if you're going to use this, for example, at work, and it's going to be something that just sits there and you never really mess with it, you plug it in, you use it, you unplug, you leave, then it could probably work really well. But in terms of a really functional device, there's some just core issues in how it works that makes me give this a very limited recommendation. Now, it also runs warm. That's pretty typical for these products. It might be that I'm pushing it too hard by having everything plugged in, but again, that then becomes something where maybe they should have one USB port if that's all they can really support. So I don't really know what to say other than I can't hugely recommend this. Now, if you are interested and if you do have a scenario where this is going to work for you, then it does come in a bunch of colors. And it's not incredibly expensive, but there are other alternatives out there that actually seem to be more graceful in these scenarios. But this is small, it's a nice unit. So before I go any further, do me a favor, click the subscribe button so you can keep up with what's going on and all our testing. And as for this unit, well, this is the QacQoc GN30H. I don't know, maybe I have a lemon, maybe there's something wrong with my MacBook, but both of those scenarios seem to be a little unlikely. It's taken this long and finally everything's stable and on the desktop again now. And that's an awfully long time for me to have to wait, or for me to have to unplug everything, plug the hub in, and then plug things back in. That sort of defeats the purpose of this device. So, still interested? Okay, it's $75.99 at Amazon.com. So, Dave Taylor, I hope you found this valuable and interesting, and I'll catch you in my next video.